today you join us. We are out at one of our calf rearers. Say we, I mean me and the vet student this week, Elsa. We're with Eddie, and he's got a calf that's chronically bloating up. That means gas keeps on accumulating in the rumen and blowing it up. That's something we typically relieve by passing a tube, but this calf just keeps on blowing up. The exact reason for that's not very clear, but there is something we can do about it. So Elsa's just getting the calf ready there. I'll go and show you what it looks like. Everyone's going to be camera shy. So we've got him behind the gate, but you can probably see there he's very, very bloated, which will be quite uncomfortable. That's all gas. So what we're going to do is we are going to put a trocar and cannula in there, and it's going to be sewn in. It's going to stay in there for a while and just allow that gas to be released off and give him a bit more comfort. Eventually the problem, whatever's causing him to bloat, will pass and the cannula will come out, but we'll get going. There we go. Got Eddie's good side there. So I'll pop a bit of local in, and then you can carry on scrubbing, and that'll give a really good soak in.
Log it again.
Yeah, yeah.
You should be used to it almost.
Now I'm going to try and get this over his head.
Yeah.
Loop it round. Hello, Coffee. Hello. Seems pretty happy. Like, hey lad, steady on now. Then. There we go. Homemade halter. Now where, because ideally I think we'll pull this out so I can, it's a bit awkward there. Can I tie him to that? So it does, so I'm just opening it all the way out. Exactly. Grand. What I might do actually is get Elsa to be camera woman, and you can lean on the calf just here. Yeah. And that'll be two jobs. It could be some strange neurological thing, because there's a lot of nerves involved with moving the gut and keeping it going. Yeah. If those falter, it means everything stops moving along, and then the gas can build up behind it.
I think it's always going to be a problem.
I don't know. I think it's just going to be a case of getting them away when you can get them away. Yeah. Like, he's still growing, isn't he? Like he's.
Yeah, well, I'm right the way through. He's fat, and then just as he's about to go for the slaughterhouse,
Yeah, exactly. That's it. It's recording. Yeah, don't worry. Don't worry. If you tap the camera, you'll be able to see what it's actually. Just goes to sleep after. Aye, that's it. You push him in there. Go on. Good stuff. Aye, so locals in there. The first step to this surgery, after numbing the area with local anaesthetic, is to make a small skin incision. That's just so my trocar doesn't have to pierce the skin as well as all the layers of muscle into the abdomen. The skin is literally shoe leather. Once the skin incision has been made, I can use my trocar. That device in this case is called a Red Devil. That allows me to pierce the abdominal wall all the way through to the rumen, which is that large compartment of the stomach, which is the compartment in this case that is bloated. The pin remains in the trocar until it has been sewn in. Once the trocar is sewn in, I can remove the pin, and there's a very satisfying deflation of that rumen for both vet and calf. The farmer will keep the pin, and in a few days to a week's time, when they think the problem should have resolved, they can use the pin to block the hole temporarily. That will then test to see whether the calf re-bloats, and if it does, the pin will come back out and the trocar will stay in longer. If the calf doesn't rebloat, that trocar can then safely be removed. But the dirtiest. Get in there. It's a lovely smell, that, isn't it? Can you see how it comes down?
Yeah.
Right. I'll leave that with you.
Yeah.
I'll pop a bit of blue spray on. And then we'll give him a couple of jabs. Some anti-inflammatory and some penicillin.
Yeah.
See what, I'll swap you.
Yeah.
Under the skin,
Okay.
into the muscle. Okay.
Rejiggle.
Okay, so that's the calf done. Nice and simple. You can see he's got his little hole in there. Carry on, don't worry. Still a bit of gas coming out there as it shifts. He's just getting a penicillin and an anti-inflammatory. That's Elsa giving it there. And that should be him. That will stay in really for as long as it needs to. Whatever insult is causing him to bloat up again and again should pass, but we shall see. So yeah, quick job, easy job. If only you could smell what we can smell, which is rumen content. But we'll get tidied up here and we're gonna post-mortem a couple of lambs. So there he goes, like a show calf on a halter. Yeah, he's walking out. Happy enough. I forgot he's actually got a name, this calf. He's Bruce. So he's just going to a little paddock out there, I think with a hog and not much else. So we'll just monitor him, keep an eye on that wound. Sometimes the red devils fall out, but we've sewn it in, so that shouldn't be an issue. Go and have a look at him in his paddock. He's got a bit of space, say that. Look at him, he's right as rain. Right as rain. As mentioned, we're going to do a couple of postmortems. These postmortems are on store lambs. For those of you who aren't aware, store lambs are lambs that have been born that year but have left the original farm, normally because there's maybe not enough grass to grow them on. They need to come down to a good coastal farm like this where there's better going and they will hit the target spec in terms of weight and fat cover. The farmer here buys about 1,000 store lambs a year, so a degree of mortality is inevitable. In this case, he has had a couple die within 24 hours of each other, so he just wants to be proactive and find out what's the cause of death, is there anything he could have done about it, and is there anything he needs to do for the remaining lambs to keep them safe. As with any clinical examination, I find it most useful to carry these out in a straightforward, consistent, clear way each time. So my post-mortem technique is by no means perfect. I'm not a trained pathologist. This is very much a farm vet in the field doing a rough and ready post-mortem, but the key thing is we do our best to reach a useful diagnosis. If you're a vet or a farmer and you ever get the chance to go and listen to or train with a chap called Ben Strugnell, he has his own company called Farm Postmortems Limited. I would highly recommend you attend. He is a great teacher and he knows a lot. At some point we will get him on the vlog, but Ben is who taught me the majority of my post-mortem technique. I start from head and end up at the tail. I work my way from the mouth down the windpipe into the thorax, and thereafter into the abdomen, and after that tidy up whatever I haven't hit. That way it's easy to not be distracted by one interesting finding, and therefore easier to not miss anything. In the case of this first lamb, the lungs look pretty suspicious for a common disease called pasteurellosis. That's a septicemia, a blood poisoning of lambs. Very common, often there is a trigger. And in the rumen, we find a lot of wheat. Now that is significant because these lambs are on a wheat stubble. Again, if you're from a non-farming background like myself, a stubble is a field of cereals that has been harvested, and the stemmy bits that are left look like the stubble you might find on someone's face. These lambs have been on the stubble for about 2 weeks. They've most likely eaten most of the green, delicious grass around the margin, and now they're working their way into the centre of the field, where there will be, inevitably, some spilled wheat. These lambs look to have hoovered up every kernel of wheat they can find. Why is that significant? It's because sheep, like most ruminants, are not designed to take on a sudden large volume of carbohydrates like this, and it can cause serious issues. It can cause dehydration and acidosis and relatively sudden death, and it may well have been the trigger for the pasteurellosis in that first lab. Now, in the second one, we find exactly the same, apart from the fact that the lungs look relatively healthy. There is rather a lot of wheat in that rumen, and based on those findings, that looks like the most likely cause of death in these lambs. Now, that is a useful piece of information for this farmer, because he can now carefully remove those lambs onto a grass field where there's no further risk of them eating lots and lots of wheat. Routine postmortems like this in sheep, I think, are really important. They're a really important way of monitoring how sheep are dying and why, and often they're surprising and they identify things we wouldn't necessarily have suspected, and they identify avoidable causes of death that can then be used in the future to stop the same thing happening. Better for the sheep and better for the farmer. There you go. Interesting. That's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Quite a lot of gore, so apologies for the faint-hearted among you. If I'm back at Eddie's while that calf still has the trocar in, I'll show you how it's getting on. They normally take it totally in their stride. You wouldn't imagine that there's a hole between the outside world and their abdomen. If you enjoyed that, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the little bell so you don't miss any future videos. Hit like and leave me a comment. If you enjoyed it and you think you might know others who would, don't be shy. Don't be afraid to pass the video on and share it. Anyway, that's enough from me. Until next time.